Everyone. It's a real pleasure for me to be here with you today and to welcome you here to this important forum. So before we take up on our rapidly approaching holiday breaks, we've been invited here this morning to spend some time doing some serious and heavy thinking. So this morning promises to help us better understand, or at least refresh our knowledge about impact evaluation, about its core principles as a research approach, its use and value, and its application in the Philippines. Now, I understand that many of you are not new to impact evaluations and you've already been using it in many of your agencies. And I'm sure that before you embarked on those impact evaluations, it required some high-level decision-making, and not to mention some significant investments that had to be made. And I think these are sound investments. Impact evaluation is a really rigorous research approach that enables us to assess policies and programs and whether they have actually made a difference in people's lives. They assess whether taxpayers' money has been used wisely. They help inform decisions, and importantly, they provide accountability for actions. But I do know that I'm already talking to the converts here, and who already understand the value of research in public policy. And I guess in Australia, you know, we also understand the value of research in public policy, and it's because of research-based evidence that we were able to get, for example, the backing of policymakers and the public for what were otherwise unpopular policies but necessary public health programs. And one that I can think of is around needle and syringe programs for people who inject drugs. Now, this is an initiative that continues to save taxpayers in Australia billions of dollars in healthcare and saves the community thousands of lives that would have otherwise been lost to HIV and hepatitis C. But because of the research that was done around its effectiveness and the cost savings, we were actually able to get backing to implement those programs, which, as I say, were essential but unpopular. So the Australian government, through its aid program, also has a strong history of supporting development research. So, you know, even over recent years, we've grown our budget for development research from $19 million in 2005 to more than $170 million last year. So it's an increase of 9 times over about 9 years. And we largely have those investments decentralised to our country programs because we believe in the importance of policy-focused research and building partner capacity in support of government decision-making. But I guess what's not so obvious, but nonetheless a real challenge to policymakers like yourselves, is actually in how to use that research. And making sure that the policy development process you undertake, from formulation of policies to implementation and to evaluations, is governed by good evidence. In principle, we all agree that it should be like this, but often it's not so in practice. And we know that research uptake is not always automatic. So in the real world, we're in a hurry. There's pressure to act quickly to solve difficult problems. And in the real world, even if evidence is available, it's left unused because the policy environment is also subject to competing vested interests, often political in nature. And in the real world, we're pressured to make decisions that tend to be popular to heed public clamour, only later to realise they're not in the best interests of the public. And in the real world, we have to admit that sometimes policymakers don't always possess the right skills to discern which evidence is useful for policy and which is not. And so it's in the context of that reality that makes the conversation we're going to have today all the more important. Because research uptake does not come easily and has its own set of challenges, there's a need for us to learn which strategies need to be employed so that we do not lose the opportunity that good evidence provides, and which we spend a great deal of time, money and effort to gather. So since my posting began here in the Philippines back in 2013, the most successful case that I've witnessed of policy intervention that has withstood political pressures, misunderstandings and vested interests is the Conditional Cash Transfer Program. And it was able to withstand those pressures because DSWD did not only invest in establishing the hard evidence through impact evaluation, but DSWD also maximised the use of research to explain and to defend the program's worth. So we're going to be excited to hear from DSWD later on this morning about those challenges and how that worked out. So likewise, we're also pleased that through the research grants that the Australian Government is able to provide in partnership with NEDA and with 3IE, that we're able to support DSWD to undertake another impact evaluation on its Sustainable Livelihoods program. In addition to, as we heard earlier, 3 other agencies in the Philippine Government, so OPAT, DOLE and the Supreme Court, so that they can establish impact evaluations of selected interventions. So the potential of these studies to demonstrate the value of their policies is huge, and we're really eagerly awaiting the results that will come. As we approach a new Philippine leadership next year, the importance of establishing the impact of these programs to the lives of their beneficiaries is all the more highlighted. So look, just in closing, let me reiterate our support to NEDA and the Philippine Government in supporting research initiatives to strengthen public policy. The Australian Government takes seriously its commitment to work with its partner countries in the conduct of research that will make a difference in the way we formulate and implement policies. So let me enjoin all of you to serve as the research champions in your agencies, because even if we know it's not always easy, it's only through the proper and effective use of research and the information it provides that we will be able to galvanise the use of evidence in the policy arena. So I'd just like to thank you very much for coming today. I wish you all a very productive discussion ahead, and of course a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I apologise for my squeaky voice, and I'm glad it managed to last these few minutes. So thank you very much.